6:05. We have to have a motion to go back into open. Let's do it just to be safe. Okay,
I don't think so.
I move that we go back into, Madam Chairman, that we go back into open session.
6:05. Mr. Connell, second. Second. Thank you, Mrs. Naradoli. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. We're at administrative reports. We want to do this.
If we could go back, thank you, Madam Chair. I wanted to call your attention to the administrative reports. I'm not going to review them, but we are looking at a different style and structure. And so we're in the midst of it, and the first one out there was middle school. And so that will be reshaped by all of us at some point.
So good, you can see it. So do the other administrators see how nicely Mrs. Lahar
They-
presented his monthly?
Yes.
Claire will get credit for the template, she did all the work on it, I just
Filled them in.
filled it in, but yeah.
So we are, just to let you know, that's coming down the pipe. My report, and I'm not going to, usually I will highlight some aspects of each building administrator's report, and for the sake of the length of the agenda, I would like just to get to my statements. Because of the length and the importance of many agenda items, my report will focus on the fact that the Town Council unanimously approved moving forward with the completion of Stage 2 of the school portion of the overall town projects. They did that again last night after much discussion around accountability. I've been in communication with RGB representatives. My first order of business is to call together our, quote, school buildings committee, unquote, which in essence will probably be our existing facility use and improvement advisory group. I will ask them to act as the school buildings committee. That meeting with them is essential for that group to get completely up to speed by RGB and myself and Mr. Kopass on the elements of the project in Stage 1 application and their role in Stage 2, because they will play a role. After that meeting, getting them up to speed, a site visit will be scheduled with RIDE representatives. All of this takes place while we work together to complete the extensive documentation of Stage 2. So I wanted to let you know that that's in the works. That will not happen overnight. We will work our best to get it done, but Mr. Kopass and I can't simply put aside our normal duties. So it's underway, and I will give you updates as we move down the path. Mr. Cannell and I were questioned Saturday morning. It's related to this. At the bond referendum presentation at Hallowell School, as to our efforts, school committee and superintendent, to put out information on the worthiness of the school project. As you know, there's been press releases by the school committee chair on your behalf, information in my newsletters, and I believe on the website. I believe the request is for the school committee to take an affirmative position on the worthiness and elements of the project and encourage a yes vote to support the school portion of the project. If the committee wishes, and only if the committee wishes, I can complete a draft for your review or public dissemination. You had already taken an affirmative vote with stipulations. Those stipulations were addressed by the last town council vote, briefly leaving Building 10 in place and pursuing aggressively funding for Stage 2. I also will double check with legal counsel to ensure that public school material, supplies, and a website, or any other means of electronic dissemination, where you are taking a public position encouraging a particular vote is permissible, not just for this issue, but for perhaps others you may wish to also address, again, if legally permissible. I will seek our attorney's opinion on that and get back to you. That's my update at this point in time. Any questions or what might be your desire on that? It's not a vote, it's just feedback.
I just want you to wait to hear from our attorney regarding whether or not we can, I think the school committee can. This is my thought, and maybe I'm wrong. I think the school committee can encourage that. I don't know that you can.
That's what I thought.
So.
I remember the middle school, Mr. Bonus, and
Yeah.
I know that I was at many public presentations asked to present. I presented, but I don't think that I was able to come out and say you need to vote yes. I will check with the attorney. I think there was an action group that promoted it.
They had buttons and everything.
Yep.
I think that's good. I think that's correct, and I do want to make sure on all fours with that. I know that there is some interest in having us, again, do more to promote it, and again, I think that's that fine line between advocating and informing, because we're not supposed to be a lobby, the school committee is not supposed to be a lobby, so to speak, or a political action committee. Yeah, I like that opinion. I guess the other thing I'd say about that is, just from a mechanic standpoint, we're looking at a vote on November 4th, so, which is about 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks away. We're not going to meet before then, so we'll get a legal opinion. I mean, from a mechanic standpoint, we're going to meet again before then. How are we going to deal with this? Or I'm at suggestions for how we deal with that.
My top priority will be getting a legal opinion, and I'll try and get that tomorrow. After that, I will work with the chair and co-chair, and if they want me to pursue a draft, I will. Once that draft is done, I think legally it's permissible that I send it to the full committee, but they are not allowed to reply to all to avoid an open meeting acts violation. And so you could give me your individual input. And my guess is the only way for us to do that. If our attorney says no, call another quick meeting, then we'll do that.
Okay.
Okay? So we will go by the guidance of the attorney?
Yes.
Okay. So I will pursue that. Turn over to the business department. Madam Chair, is that all right?
Before we go, I should have told you this when I talked to you earlier today. The last page on your report, Mrs. Marcotte, is blurry, I can't read it. So I don't know how it came out printed on anybody else's, but I can't read any of the numbers except for,
This one here, before?
I can read general ledger, and I can read current, but I can't read anything else.
If you look at page 3, Mrs. Fuller,
Yeah,
the totals on page 3 are the same as page.
okay, that works.
Oh, yeah. We had a similar situation. That was ours, right? Yeah.
Right,
It's got temperament.
so, let me go through it and you can ask your question. Go ahead.
Okay, as of September 30th, we had $211,909.79 left in the budget as a balance of uncommitted funds. So to answer your earlier question, Mr. Connell, if you look at that report and you will see the balance column. The balance column represents the actual dollars that are left in those accounts after we met our commitments through the payables. The next column is encumbrances, and those are monies that are set aside through purchase orders for specific purchases of certain items or services. The budget balance is the balance in those accounts after the payments, the year-to-date, and the purchase orders that have been set aside.
The difference between 21,195,888 and 18,883,979 is the 2,211,000. Yes, okay, but that number is fluid, depending on a lot of unanticipated expenditures that could happen throughout the rest of this year.
Correct. Yep. It's also important for you to know that this actual report comes directly from our financial software, and it's not meant to be a forecast or a projection of where we'll be at the end of the year. It doesn't take into consideration variable items that our financial software does not automatically encumber, such as substitutes, stipends, overtime, variable benefits, building-based purchases that have not been secured with a purchase order yet, end-of-year payroll benefits and benefit accruals, tuitions that haven't been into the system yet.
We understand that because of the accounting principles and terminology that sometimes it's a challenge. And one of the things I do is I always refer back to Lisa's cover page all the time, and it really is a help, but I think that disclaimer that Lisa just read, which is at the bottom of page 1, is exactly what you're talking about, Mrs. Bonus. It is that point in time, but it excludes certain variables, so. Does that help, Mr. Cannell?
You know, it does, and you know, maybe I'll speak to Ms. Mark at some point later, I mean, sort of just go over some of these points.
Absolutely.
I have no specific question, I need a specific one. I guess what I'm just trying to find out, I think we all, we want to just know, where we vis-a-vis, basically where we vis-a-vis where we budgeted to be, so that, are we running, is there a particular area where we're running behind what we, what we project? Are we seeing some savings somewhere that we didn't project? And are we seeing some increased expenses that we didn't project? So, we can kind of see what might be coming, where we might be having some issues down the road. That's what I'm trying to be able to make sure I can understand. And I think you understand where I'm coming from, too. We want to know what's going on. I'm not saying we didn't know before, but I think I just want to make sure I can follow.
Lisa, I think, so I would encourage you to meet with Lisa, but I think it would be safe to say that a report like this is fairly solid for operational information, supplies, materials, things. But because staffing is so fluid, as you said, with substitutes and other considerations, overtime, et cetera, that is the bulk of our budget, and that is a bit more, right, and benefits, and that is more in flux. And then candidly, what Lisa tries to do at around January, probably starts in December, I'm not sure, but she basically, shuts her door and blocks all of us out, and basically does a pretty intense forecast, which takes her a tremendous amount of time, and that's where she spends more time trying to really get at the variables. Not that she doesn't manage them weekly or daily. So if you ask her outright, where do we stand right now?
Well, right now, we're pretty solid. I don't foresee any problems at this time. But again, I haven't done any intense forecast yet. But I'm not foreseeing any problems right now.
And by the way, I understand what you're saying about being fluid, and this is just a snapshot.
Oh, yeah, Mr. Cannell, I think your question was perfectly acceptable and welcome. Anytime, you want to come in and make an appointment with Lisa, she can take you through. So I think it's great.
That's great.
Glad to have the question.
Okay, thank you, both of you.
Mr. Connell, anything from the town council liaison?
The only thing I would, I'm not sure if I was not able to attend last meeting again. They improved the stage 2 funding at the last, not the last meeting before that. Again, I know it was brought up last night. I wasn't able to make last night's meeting. There was a open house, and I don't know if that was a town council, if that's a town council matter, or we attended Saturday, but we did have an open house with some people from the town council and the town administrator, Mr. Lindbergh, myself, and a few other people this weekend at the Halliwell School. Ms. Joel, I believe, set up the projectors for us or whatever, and we were able to do it there. And that was, I think, pretty informative. And then we went to the different schools afterwards. I mean, I know I was here at Halliwell, I was here at Kendall Green until about 1:30 or so, well, thereafter on Saturday. And we got some people coming in, got to see some of the building, what some of the issues with the bond, what some of the bond issues might address. So that's sort of an indirect reference as far as that's pretty much my extent of my report as town council liaison.
I mean, Mr. Flaherty spoke about it last night also. I think he had counted 6 public citizens, I counted 8. He had commented that, I don't remember, so I shouldn't quote, but.
Well, he said that shows the disinterest.
Yeah.
But there were some people, not a lot, there were some people who did come afterwards who didn't make the press release too, and they said they couldn't make it the press release. And the only thing Madam Chair is too, I was planning on, actually that's my report.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any correspondence received?
No, Madam Chair.
Legislative update?
I think it's early in the game. I would defer to Mr. Connell almost, kind of early in the game.
Yeah, well, the legislature's in recess right now.
Yeah.
So So, I know that they are doing I don't know if this, YS is having a couple of seminars, no, I've signed up to go to one, there are some YS seminars coming up to update on different things. I will try to get some, I did actually get a summary, I didn't bring it with me, I have a summary of all the legislative education acts that went through this year. So frankly, nothing I think that really impacts us terribly, but just for informative purposes, I'll bring them in. Probably the biggest thing is Board of Education is now actually two things, there's a council on elementary and secondary education, and there's a council on higher, post-secondary education. And again, the board still exists, but now you have the two councils, which are, half of the council is on, half the board is on one council, half of the board is on another council. Again, it doesn't really make a terrible impact on us, except that we think we would have gone to the Board of Education now, I think going to the council is who we're going to now, for most of them.
We didn't discuss the nightlife program concept proposal. I think I want to still discuss it, and I know that you said that the grant writer is going to be available for our November meeting as well, true?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
She was going to come tonight but couldn't make it before 6:30, and I didn't know that I should commit, so she's going to come back in November. The only reason I asked her to come, Madam Chair, is because she is a grant writer for the consortium, and she has wonderful experience. She's wonderful experience as on a resume, but with Brookline Adult and Community Education and other type of, if you will, community education programs. So I'm hoping to convince her to be part of the advisory team that would work with us and the Standard Bearer. So, committee voted to support the proposal at the August meeting, and I come forward to ask you to vote to support the position of a director developer, which a job description was attached, and associated stipend to get the program up and running. I did have the grant writer in to meet with our administrative team, and we brought her up to speed on all of our initiatives, so I'll stop there.
Madam Chair, this time I'd like to make a motion that we accept the superintendent's proposal, that we basically put some seed money, for lack of a better word, or some initial money for the person to start up the nightlife program. I do have a couple of comments and questions about it, but
Motion made by Mr. Connell, second. Second, Mrs. Nardoli. Questions, Mr. Connell?
well, first it just be first a comment and a question, if I may. The superintendent had told me this person was from Brookline. A few years ago, I had a chance in the summer to run part-time, work with part of that program. In fact, I ran some of the K-8 kid programs, and I just think, as the superintendent, I had discussions about this earlier, Brookline has a great program. So having somebody, they have a great program like this. I mean, it's very extensive. It's just amazing the things they do, even in the summer and at night there. So having somebody else with experience from that program, I think is a really exciting opportunity. Again, they did so much there in the summer and at night that I was just like, wow, this is the kind of thing I'd like to see us do on a small scale in Smithfield. So I really support this program wholeheartedly. And I know there's a lot of different aspects of this. Could be alternate ed, GED, enrichment. There's a lot of different things you can go here. And I know we're not there yet. We have all those things on the table. The only thing I wanted to, my only question was the 4,000. Where we pulling that money from?
So my recommendation, and I'm sorry if it wasn't included, I thought I did. But
I know it was talked about.
Yeah, you use the term seed money, and that's exactly it. My recommendation was to have the $4,000 appropriated from committed use of facilities. The link, whether it's strong or weak, is the fact that we do bring in revenue from use of facilities, and this is going to use our facilities. And so, appropriately so, if we can allow the seed money to get up and running from that, there is a possibility down the road that we can restore that once the programs get up and running and hopefully become a little bit more self-reliant. So it's a little bit of leap of faith. We're excited about it. That's the rationale.
But I guess just I'm wondering, from a budgeting perspective, we're okay with the 4. I mean, we're not gonna kick it ourselves.
No, absolutely. We would not recommend that if it wasn't in the committed rental account. So it is.
And what about, for example, advertising? And are you gonna advertise on School Spring? How are you gonna go about advertising for the, I guess this person is called a standard bearer?
Well, I use that term in my concept proposal. It's a director. I say standard bearer because you need somebody that's gonna really,
Rah-rah.
yeah, and that's the truth, isn't it?
And get community involvement, and I know this falls right in alignment with our strategic plan, which I think we're gonna talk about in a little while, but, so did you didn't answer my question, so, is that going into School Spring, or how is this position gonna be advertised?
Well, I believe we would post it first
Internally?
and either put it on School Spring or put it in the Valley Breeze. And
Okay,
it's not just something for, internal candidates, so.
okay. Did you look at other job descriptions from somewhere else to get?
I had a few, but honestly, they were more detailed. We're in our infancy. We're just trying to get off our knees, going from a crawling position to standing. So I didn't have a lot, no. I made it work for us right now.
I think that works too, because again, the program's still a little bit, we kind of know what we want to cover, but there's a lot of.
I think that the person who takes that position has to make it his or her own, and that's the person that's going to decide what kind of programs we're gonna have in our buildings, and that person's gonna be the one that is doing the outreach. Am I correct?
You're correct. The concept too is that we wouldn't leave that person alone. We would be looking for a small, willing to work and assist oversight group, so that it wouldn't be just that person alone. We want to help. In other words, if it means helping to get the word out or developing an initial survey to the community to say, these are the things where we believe we can offer, what are your interests, and as a community resident, you have an area of expertise that you would be willing to offer. So there's a lot of what I call grunt work to get it up and running.
Right.
And so we want to work with this person to do that and help. And so we would end up using our website, our school reach, our constant contact, whatever we can. I don't have a whole full-blown proposal plan. I think we have to develop it.
So you don't have a vision yet?
I have a vision, but I don't want to really impose that vision.
Steps, yeah,
I do have a vision because I've experienced this where I come from.
okay.
But I also know we've got, again, we're crawling here. So it has great potential, but if we
No, I'm
don't,
not a crawler, you know me.
I know, but if we don't crawl and walk, it'll fail. And
Okay.
so I think there's a way to do this and build excitement for more, kind of like we did with technology in the district, so. What was that?
Nothing, I can't say that one.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I think we can take, I don't want to belabor the point, because we're not going to do so much methodology. We can have a lot to shape the direction of this too, if we have some vision advisory groups, so we can.
We'll be looking for someone from the school committee to sit on it.
Well, when we get there, I might volunteer to do that, yes.
Okay.
Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Okay, so now that means you're gonna go right home and put this on the website.
No, it means probably tomorrow or next day.
Very good, all right, FY 15 budgets.
It's a standing item on the agenda. September report was attached. Do you want to comment on that? That's yours. Did you get earlier? Already did it.
Yep,
She really did it.
she discussed it in her department, business department. Okay, strategic plan, here we are. No PowerPoint?
No,
Prezi?
no. I want to defer to the chair and the school committee. What we did do is we streamlined these tremendously so that you have a pared down version And what we're interested in doing is, and whether you want us to go through the progress of each step in our 14-15 action step recommendations, I don't want to short circuit your desire, so it really is up to you how you want to proceed.
I read through it, and I don't think I notated any questions.
Can, maybe, if, Madam Chair, if, for instance, I'm doing goal 1, maybe a few comments, and then we'll do it that way, or how would you like to do it?
Yeah, okay, you can go 1, maybe we can have clarity, go number 2. And Don can do 3, and Carolyn can do 4, how does
Yes.
that sound?
Yeah.
Sound good?
That sounds great.
Sounds good, okay.
Thank you. So goal 1 is to strengthen the engagement and involvement of the community in meaningful partnerships. Clearly, we need to do some what's called perfunctory data collection. That's what step 1 addresses, and also step 2. Now action step 2 will be directly connected to what you just previously approved, which is the nightlife concept for offerings and structure. If you turn to the next page, step 4, we recommended deleting B and C, and the building administrators can complete A, B, and C on an annual basis, including the solicitation database and communication of volunteerism participation through their respective communications and the district news article. So we recommended that for 14-15 that be done, but we'll close this out and that will become an annual task. Step 5, that's really huge. I really take my hat off to the administrative team and to faculty in the district that did a phenomenal job by developing and hosting these events that really brought in community members. I don't know if you were able to attend the Veterans Evening at the middle school, but the St. Antoine's resident, the Christmas caroling, the first local heroes to lunch in May, just phenomenal. I am so proud, and hopefully you are, at what we did last year that contributed to community engagement. So we want to do the same thing and even improve on them this year. So I won't read the whole litany of what we accomplished, but we are excited, and I hope you're pleased with what we accomplished last year. And again, I really take my hat off to the team and to the faculty involved. So I'm going to move on to objective 1-2, which is developing and implementing a communication outreach plan. So basically, the community survey at large, once again, we put a little twist on this, and for this year, each school will be developing what's called an exit survey for their students and an exit survey for their parents. And we will begin to develop what's called a community survey for non-parents to be implemented in the spring of 2015. We don't want to inundate people with surveys, and we felt like the nightlife aspect proposal that will involve community input was really a priority, and the second priority was to be the exit surveys that would be developed and implemented at each school. Am I going too fast? Okay, not fast enough. Okay, one of the other aspects under the communication plan, step 2, hopefully you saw last year our effort to really share good news through not only school reach, but web pages, and especially the district's electronic newsletter. We have revised our approach to that in our Constant Contact newsletter. We've reformatted the main page so it coincides with that, my apology. So whether we call it telling our story, journalism, whatever you choose to call it, it's really about communicating what we do and sharing what we do. And this is tied directly to one of our major district strategic plan goals, and to the BEP. we don't have it quite fully coordinated as we'd like, and candidly, it's work, but it's work that it's starting to become a little bit more efficient. Our outreach efforts requires time, as I said. What we're looking at this year and we're hoping to do is we're hoping to all work and support Mr. Mezzanotte, and as he makes a pitch to potential senior projects and intern mentors for those seniors that are interested in journalism or communication, and we will be reaching out to find mentors. We've actually reached out to one newspaper already. So we're hoping that these seniors will have an interest to work with us to help write and share the plethora of activities and events across the schools. So that's what our ultimate goal would be, which would simply be wonderful. So, and lastly, I believe, yeah, it's last, and that is effectively communicate with families in the community concerning learning expectations, student outcomes, and assessment data. Candidly, knocked out of the park, just knocked out of the park. I'm not going to read it all to you, but again, under the guidance and direction of Mrs. Arnold, our building administrators have just simply done a phenomenal job regarding communicating to parents around academics, around expectations, student outcomes, and assessment data. So I couldn't be more pleased. So that's it. I hope you're pleased, and I would eventually ask you to vote on our 14-15 action steps.
Claire, did you want to present those two, please? Thank you.
So goal 2 focuses on improving math and science. Last year, up until now, we have been focusing really on math. We've developed a new curriculum and implemented the curriculum. We've developed units of study aligned to the standards. We've developed assessments that are aligned to the units of study. Our teachers created parent unit guides for each unit of study, K in kindergarten through Algebra 2. So all the unit guides are online, so it gives parents an idea of what the standards look like within the unit, and there's also links to video tutorials for the students if they have trouble with the standards. We've created a system and a structure to collect data by standard, and that's using Google Docs. And we've analyzed the data with our district data team that will inform and fine-tune instruction. This year, a major initiative is our instruction refinement days. It's grant funded. We have each math teacher will work with their grade level or department to really just talk about instruction, implementation of the curriculum, making sure that it's articulated, that it's aligned, that we have the materials and resources, that we're just fine-tuning instruction. During that day, we also have another really exciting initiative, and that's called Community of Practice Shared Classroom Initiative. And what that is every math teacher in the district visits another classroom during that day. So they usually start their day with a visit, and it can't be within their own building. So we've had high school teachers going to the elementary school, elementary teachers go to the middle school go to the high school. But the idea is really to just watch our teachers in action. We have, master teachers in our district that are showcasing the art and craft of teaching. It's also helping, again, to keep our curriculum articulated and aligned. So we've been working on that the last few weeks, but it's a year-long process. We're also beginning to study the science standards, and that's the next generation science standards. They're new, and we're just putting our toe in the water this year. And we're doing a deep study of the standards. Our middle school and high school science teachers are doing a professional development on November 4th for that, and we've also developed a next generation science standards task force. So we have great plans, it's going well.
Mr. LaHart, standard, or goal 3, sorry.
Goal 3. I have the privilege of presenting a goal that will never be reached, but will always be in the forefront of what we do. It's improved teacher effectiveness. We all know, as educators and parents and people who've worked within schools, that the quality of a child teacher in the classroom is one of the most important things to their outcomes and what they're going to learn. So, as a district, we are focused on making sure that we're giving teachers all the tools and skills that they need to do an effective job in the classroom. Our action steps, if you look at the first page, is basically dedicated towards setting up a common planning time and leadership structure at the elementary schools. A lot of work has been done on that as far as looking at the possibility of having grade level leaders, creating job descriptions for those jobs, also talking with the NSTA and talking with different groups about implementation of common planning time. A lot of those things are financially driven, so the plans are in place and there's some ideas that have been vetted, but it has not been completed yet because we have not had the funding to go forward with that type of system as of yet. But there's been good work done on that front so that, you know, when we win the lottery, we'll be able to implement those things relatively quickly and efficiently. You remember a few years ago, I'm on page 2, we implemented classroom instruction and work that works throughout the district. These are specific research-based teaching strategies that should help all teachers effectively communicate with their students. Our goal is to make sure that we keep that initiative alive. I think one of the things that we focused on as a district this year is we're trying to, there's so many different things out there between the BEP, the Department of Ed, the strategic plan, our school improvement plans, all the different initiatives out there. We're trying to streamline as many of them as possible. And one of the things that we're able to do this year is we found a very strong link between our teacher evaluation data and classroom instruction that works. If you look at our teacher evaluation data, one of our key areas of weakness was in questioning techniques. That is one of the McCrell strategies that we were trained in a couple of years ago. On our first professional development day, Claire reached out to a group called Teachers 21, brought in a consultant to meet with all of the teachers that day and do a presentation on questioning techniques. It's something that will be a theme throughout our professional development this year. So we're trying to take the information that we have and the skills that we've already worked on and really try to streamline them and make as many connections as possible so it's meaningful for teachers, so that when a teacher walks into a professional development day, they're not just saying, here we go again, what's new, what are you doing to fill the 6 hours? We're really trying to make those connections strong and real for those teachers. Data. Well, again, data is a key thing for us as far as decisions that we make. We are limited resource-wise, so the decisions that we make have to be correct. We can't really afford to get many of them wrong. So we don't want to make any decision without having as much information as possible. And again, the professional development days are a good example. We looked at our teacher evaluation data and said, where are we weak, what do we need to work on? The data team did a great job of working with the math results. We have math results for every kid in the district on their 5 units of study in the Common Core standards. We're going to be able to keep that going every year. So by the time a kid gets to, say, meet the middle school, I'll have 5 years of data on how that kid did on each and every individual standard in math throughout his elementary career. So we can start to target cohorts, we can target weaknesses, we can do intensive RTI targets to specific kids for their specific weaknesses. So the data team did a great job as far as setting that up, and you know, data entry is not a fun thing, and it can be long and difficult and tedious, and getting that up and running, I think is going to benefit us tremendously as we really start to target what specific instructional interventions we need to take. Let's skip 3.3 so we get it. 3.4, again, the evaluation system has been a big driver as far as teacher effectiveness goes in the state. I believe in our district we have done a better job than most places. I have no problem saying that out loud, especially since nobody's here. But I think we've done a better job than most places in implementing the system. We have really dove into it. We spent a lot of time. We did a lot of hand-holding of teachers. We dug into every aspect of that evaluation system. We vetted it as an admin team. We talked to people at RIDE. We gave clear, specific, concise guidance to teachers. There are some inherent flaws and problems with the system that every district in the state is struggling with and people can't get around. But for what we could do and do well, I think that we've done a great job with it. I also think that we've done a good job of saying, okay, we can't fix it, we can't change it. What can we take out of it? How can we use it to make teachers better to ultimately help kids in the classroom? And I really feel that one of those things that it's done is sort of a very strong focus on student learning in the classroom. It's no longer how great of a lesson did I teach, it's how much did the kids learn. And teachers are really starting to see it through that lens that, oh, you know, I did a great lesson, but half the kids were sleeping and the other half weren't paying attention, then your lesson wasn't great. You know, those kids have to learn that material, and I think teachers are really starting to look at it from that perspective, that the results matter and the results are important. So I'm very proud of the work that we've done with the evaluation system and continue to do. And that's pretty much it. I've already talked about evaluation data. So,
John,
yeah,
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, because the rest is connected to
Funding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing, if I may just ask you to turn to page 3, it's under action step 2 and 14-15 action step recommendations. Mr. Mezzanotte, and this is part of our district strategic plan, has made a formal request to add a late bus 1 day a week as soon as possible. We're going to be initiating that as quickly as we can. We wanted to give DATCO a chance to resolve, as you know, the whole terminal situation. So we look to be getting that off the ground as soon as possible. Because 1 day a week, and Mr. Mezzanotte has made a very strong case of the importance for students at the high school academically. This is not a late bus for students who will be in detention. This is strictly for academic help.
Would it be shared with middle school?
Yes, it will be. Yeah, it will be for both. 1 day a week.
Right.
Okay?
Yep.
Is there anything else?
Nope. Okay. Questions?
Thank you.
The last action plan is improving school culture and climate. And the anti-bullying work group met all last year. We're very happy that 8 teachers were piloted Open Circle last year. We have 3 new ones at NSCS, but it was funded by our Feinstein money. There were no new ones at Howell this year. She did not have any funding for that. We recommend that every classroom teacher be trained in Open Circle. It is money, but it is well worth it. It needs to be the language across the elementary level so that children get along with each other, that children problem solve. The lessons are about 20 minutes twice a week. They integrate very well with literature, and they teach children how to problem solve and how not to bully each other. So there's great things going on. We recommended positive behavioral intervention supports for 6 through 12, although there are other things going on 6 through 12. So that really takes care of the first page. And then the second page goes into research program and models to maximize student and community connections. And this action plan actually very easily dovetails with goal number 1, which is the community involvement. So all of that goes into everything that went on in the school district, including the community garden, the senior project day, the work that Kerry Blaze did. So all of that is listed on page 2. Page 3 goes on to the other steps that we will continue with in developing and implementing opportunities. I think I missed a page.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I did, I missed a page. Let me go back to page 2, I apologize. We have to establish core values and social norms, and that is going on in every school with our school improvement plan. We have a motto, we have core values, we have a mission and a vision, and all of those are being developed, and you'll see them across the 4 schools in the district. So those are happening, and now we will assess to the degree that these core values are being implemented across the district, and that will happen this school year and possibly into the next school year as well. Now,
You have the overlap. You're
did
right.
I miss it?
No, you were talking about the overlap that.
Yes, it
I thought I remembered.
overlaps a great deal with the community plan, which is our goal number 1. So all of page 3 talks about all of the things that have been done to bring the community into the schools. And we'll continue to develop and implement more opportunities for the community to be involved
with the schools. And administrators are listing this, we're getting it on the website, we're putting it in the activities calendar, and we will track these activities and make sure they're sustained at each grade level. And we'll be able to close out this action step by the end of this year. The last one is 4.4, to create safe, supportive, and inviting environments for parents and students. So that, again, is expanding and coordinating family-focused activities. And you can see what's going on at the high school, at the elementary schools, and our all districts' efforts with math core implementation and parent communication project. Mrs. Arnold hosted a Common Core State Standards Informational Night. The high school math team has done different things, and we will continue to keep all of our present communication and community involvement going on, and we'll expand it as best we can to get the community more involved in the schools. There are also things, we showcase our work at NSCS. We've posted things at the post office, at Brigado's, and we will continue this action plan for another year. Mr. Lindbergh, did I miss anything?
No,
I jumped over
you're
very
fine. There's some
quickly.
overlap, Carolyn, I
A
know
lot
that.
of overlap.
There's,
Okay.
yeah.
Any questions, anybody?
Some questions on the strategic progress reports, strategic plan progress reports? We need a motion to accept this progress report.
Madam Chair, I move that we accept the progress reports as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Connell, second. Mrs. Nardoli, any further discussion?
Thank you for all the
Yes, thank you to
for the presentation.
everyone who has been working on these goals and action steps, all of the committee members, and I know that the strategic plan is a work in progress. Excellent job, thank you.
Thank you.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries, thank you. All right, let me ask accreditation progress report.
Chair, I'll turn this over to Mr. Mezzanotte. I do want to appreciate your, sincerely, your attention. It was really nice that you gave us that time to provide that update. Thank you.
Having sat on the strategic planning committee for like, what was it, 4 days, a couple of summers ago?
Yes, it was.
I suffered through that, so this is how it's going.
You what?
I
She was
enjoyed
happy
that
to sit there.
instead of sitting by my pool.
Okay.
Good evening. I have the NES Special Progress Report that's due on March 1st. I have the action plan for that report, which you may remember I brought up a few months ago at our committee meeting. And we've been working at this. I've been working primarily with Tony Kopaz, but also others as well, including Jessica Camara, our school librarian, to address the issues that were specifically mentioned in the report that we received about the warning status. So just to recap, as you remember, that they did specify some specific areas in that report that needed to be addressed by March 1st. Those areas are captured in this plan. There are other areas that also are part of the plan, and I just want to take you through these. On March 1st, what that deadline means that we have to submit a report to our NES Commission, and that report needs to include the steps that have been taken to address the areas that they indicated needed immediate attention. And again, that's to essentially respond to their designation of us as on warning status. Now, as we talked about before, the two standards that we received the most critical feedback in were Standard 6 and Standard 7. Standard 6 is School Supports for Learning, and Standard 7 is Community Supports for Learning. The School Supports for Learning primarily centered around the adequate staffing and resources in the high school library. I'm not going to read this report to you. I'm not going to do that. But I do want to touch upon some key points. So
We had to go about defining, first of all, adequate staffing in the library. We currently have a part-time librarian who's at the library, who's at the high school about 2.5 days a week, every other Monday and every Tuesday and Wednesday. So we talked about having an individual in the library during the school day who may check out books, and also an individual in the library after school who's able to supervise students during that time who wish to study or receive extra help of some sort. Right now we don't have that, and so students aren't able to do that. So you may note here that we will be making a recommendation as part of the report that this, for the following. One, they staff the high school with a full-time library media specialist, and two, that we bring up discussions to negotiate a potential flexible schedule with the NSTA, which would allow the librarian to be present at school and after school. Do you want to jump in?
No, I'm excited about where we're headed. It's a matter of the challenge will be, we know the challenge.
Yep. Also appropriate resources, I turned to Mrs. Kamara for that. You can see them listed, but she's, obviously an advocate for her department and her program to make sure that the students are able to access the most up-to-date current resources for research purposes and other things. If you flip to the next page, Standard 7. Standard 7 again has to do primarily with the facility, and that's addressed here. The locker room is one area that presents a significant concern for safety areas. The boys' locker room has some pieces of metal that are exposed that could potentially lead to student injury. It's really not a safe situation. There's some very sharp metal edges that students could be pushed into or fall into that could create some serious risk to them. And I know that is part of the current bond referendum being considered with the town, but we're also taking the proactive step to price out some metal sheet metal, I should say, to replace those lockers in light of what may happen with that bond situation.
How many lockers are you talking about?
It's really actually, it's not really like a necessarily a locker per se, but there's a side for the locker that's just metal, and it's like where the locker goes around the corner, and it's that area where the lockers with the metal is disattached from like the side.
of the locker.
Yeah. So it's really just sheet metal.
Can't you just remove that particular locker that's causing the problem? What's one missing locker?
I don't think we
Or
could
10
remove.
missing lockers.
Well, it needs to be replaced because if you simply remove it, there's still going to be like sharp exposed edges. So we need to really price out the sheet metal to replace it. I'm not sure if Tony can weigh in on that.
It depends on how the lockers are made. If it's bolted together, we can take it off. I believe the end lockers aren't bolted together, basically tack welded together. So the end panel has been pushed in, which creates a safety issue. So our plan is to take a piece of sheet metal and just put it right, cut that piece off or take it off, top cover.
Allison?
All right. So again, if you go down to the next one, it says the recommendations to resolve the concerns of broken or vandalized tables, desks, and chairs that are used in classrooms. Mr. Cope has completed a furniture needs assessment for all student desks. So the next step is to basically compile a report and investigate pricing, which we're, again, in the process of doing. We're going to continue that, but we hope to accomplish that, obviously, in time to submit our report. Our desks, quite frankly, at the high school are in pretty sad condition, many of them. They're quite uncomfortable. They don't necessarily make for a great learning environment for the kids. So we're definitely looking at that. Next one's implement the maintenance plan to ensure that the school is clean and maintenance requests are resolved. Again, I can't speak highly enough, I should say, for our maintenance workers. They do a phenomenal job. Our custodians do a phenomenal job. They keep the building clean and safe and well maintained. However, the maintenance requests do pile up, and there's not many of them for the entire district.
You have two.
Yep, two, sorry.
No, that's okay. I help you out there.
Thank you.
Sure.
So basically, they prioritize safety and security measures. I'm always hounding them for issues that I know directly affect instruction and teachers' ability to deliver lessons. Those always take priority from me. But there's obviously a lot that just get stuck in the pile. And it's very difficult, given the two of them and what they can do, so to get everything done in a timely manner. So again, we will be addressing that in the next budget cycle, and we're trying to do our best to move that ahead. Next one deals with long-range planning, and again, I've sat, I should say, with both Adam and Tony about this, looking at their long-range plans. Technologies plan is available on the website. Mr. Kopaz and Mr. Lindbergh's been very involved in this as well. The building principals have been conducting walkthroughs of the buildings, looking at needs, just the best way I know that I'm a very visual learner, the best way that we can do this is just by simply walking around the building, looking at what is in need of repair, what is in need of replacement, and that's been something that we've done, and I know that Tony is working on compiling a comprehensive report for that to determine what we're doing next. The next one is develop and implement a planned timeline and source of funding to update and replace aging and outdated textbooks. The textbooks that are only available in limited quantities, so I'm working with Mrs. Arnold on that. The department heads of the high school have submitted an up-to-date textbook inventory spreadsheet that includes all outdated textbooks as well as all textbooks that are within date. Ideally, what we'd like to accomplish here, it will be a massive undertaking simply because it's something that I'm not sure if it's ever been done here, but certainly not since I've been here, is to get a true cycle of textbook purchasing that we'd like to look at so that it's not this avalanche of textbooks we have to buy and we have to pick and choose which ones we should buy because we can afford all of them, but rather have a dependable cycle of textbook purchases so that we're not taking a huge bite every few years, we're rather taking small bites each year. And we have a plan for that. So we'll be looking at that, Mrs. Arnold and I, very closely, and hopefully we'll be getting the heavy lifting done so we can hopefully have an easier time in future years. Right? Yep. So again, that covers the issues that are specifically mentioned in the two-year report. However, when we looked at the full scope of the document, we did feel that there were items that were not to be addressed immediately. They were for the two-year report, but they, in our opinion, required immediate attention. And one was to provide appropriate technology support staffing to support teachers' abilities to integrate technology into the curriculum. Again, this has been a huge initiative in our district. I think that we've done a lot with a little, but technology is so crucial to engaging students, especially students in today's digital age, that we've recommended the addition of a technology integration specialist. And I know that we're currently in progress of doing that, but just to, again, bring our teaching staff up to speed with many of the technology initiatives that are happening is really crucial. I know it's something that we are working on with our professional development. I know we're doing a lot with Google Drive right now. It's been a big part of our PD, and it's something that we certainly are well on our way to accomplishing, I believe. Addressing concerns with the wireless internet service, again, that was completed, and Adam really spearheaded that to get the wireless classroom initiative underway. We still are working on really making full use of it, and I think testing its capabilities on a wider scale. You can, I don't know if you want to weigh in on that. Okay. Science labs, to update to include functional access to water and gas, as well as updated instructional equipment. But we all know about the science labs at the high school. Frankly, they're in very poor condition. It's a very sad state. I think it doesn't send the right message to our students, especially those who wish to pursue careers in science, and many of them do, that they're working with the labs that we have. I know that the bond is something that is out there right now. Quite frankly, and I'll say this on my own, I'm a little discouraged with the fact that it doesn't seem like many of the individuals who are primarily involved in the construction of the bonds have come out and seen the science labs at the high school. I did share pictures with you, Mr. Connell. I hope they made their way around to certain people, but it's unfortunate that I think that they don't really know the true conditions of the labs.
I mean, they did make, I know they did make it in the PowerPoint that we presented at the open house on Saturday. I don't know where else they did it. I know they were there. We had a few up here. we did talk to the science labs a lot.
And thank you, I appreciate that. I know we had discussed that, and I appreciate you sharing those.
But I also appreciate your concern that way, we would like to circulate it more too, so, and that's what we're gonna take up. We'll be taking up, so we're getting back in a few days.
Thank you, yeah. And again, I think it does make a big difference. I think, you know, to echo John's point, having a high-quality instructor, there's really no substitute for that. But resources, environment is incredibly crucial. And right now, I mean, in some of our labs, the conditions are just really, really sad. So next thing, formal opportunities for faculty members to engage in professional discourse focused on instruction. We're going to revisit proposals for consistent and integrated common planning time for high school teachers. We don't have any formalized common planning time right now. We do, for select group of teachers, we did pilot this year a ninth grade academy group, which does have built-in common planning time for ninth grade teachers, but they represent obviously a small percentage of our entire teaching staff. We certainly could benefit from that, so we will look at that. Develop and implement a process to engage library media into the implementation of the school's curriculum. And again, that will, move forward as we, gain adequate staff in the library. All right, and final, last but not least, ensure that materials of the library and the media center support the needs of the curriculum. Again, looking at the recommendations we've gotten, the library media center simply does not meet the students' needs at this point. So I'll be happy to answer any of your questions. Just to clarify, again, this is an action plan that will be, is obviously, thank you, integrated into the budget. And ultimately, the report that we will be producing will be submitted in March.
The report that you produce for.
That's for NEAS.
For NEAS, does it look like this and show action steps and a timeline for implementation? Or is it a written report?
It will be both. I imagine it will include this, and there'll be a narrative report that I include as a cover sheet, but also that this would be something that we would kind of, I envision it as like a step-by-step process from when we received the notification that we received till March, what we've done. This will be included as one of those things.
I just had a comment at the time when I was going through it, and I don't know if from from contractual standpoint with any of our unions, but in terms of the library, I'm wondering if, in addition to what, if we can't do something with part-time librarian and some type of town volunteers who would come in maybe at some time to help, just in terms of, people in town might even want to volunteer and do more in the schools, and of course they have to pass their corporate criminal background checks, but who could maybe be there just to check books in and out and something like, just those type of functions, and maybe would be willing to, work and tutor with kids after school in the library. I'm not trying to tell you, Mr. Mezai, what to do, I'm just suggesting that as an option, that there are people out there who maybe, it's an option, we can look at it.
I mean, I appreciate the help that we could get from anybody, volunteers and things like that. I do think that the position of a media specialist is a little more than just checking books out. I know that it's quite amazing what some fully integrated library media specialists do to enhance instruction and to actually not just supplement it. I mean, the Common Core standards, Claire can tell you how research heavy they are, especially at the high school level. And a full-time and talented library media specialist can really take that to an unbelievable level for the kids in terms of being able to, one of the big problems that we have, and this is what's happening with the senior project with all kinds of research kids do, there's so much information out there about everything that you really do need a coach or somebody, a guide to be able to have kids identify what's a valid source, what's a reliable source of information that they're gathering. This is something that, a library media specialist has specific expertise in. It's really important because right now, kids' research skills, I can say frankly that our kids really need a lot of help with that. They struggle mightily, and it's really apparent with the senior project process to differentiate between what is a valid source, what's a reliable source, what's something that they can use for a scholarly research paper versus something that they just get from whomever.
And I'm not, I want more, but just to think about this, I'm saying, I just think about it, are there ways we can incorporate volunteers not to be the librarian, not to be the media specialist, but, you know, on the planner, it speaks about checking in books and watching the kids after school. I mean, observing and work with the kids. There might be volunteers who can help supplement some of that, what we're trying to do. In other words, not to replace the media specialist, but to supplement it. And perhaps there are some options in terms of, again, if you're looking at a part-time person and supplement some volunteers, or a part-time person, then we can share them with someone else. You know, I'm just trying to think of, let me rephrase that. I think there's just a lot of opportunity in the community we might be able to take advantage of. And this is one of those situations where, at least on a short-term basis, there might be some opportunities that we can pursue that I'm suggesting that out there.
Yeah, I really do appreciate that. I think we're on the same page. I do. I think there's definitely a use for that. I just wouldn't want to see it as a something to, what's the word?
Honestly, Rob, I think if we had the appropriate staff, I mean, for you to run a high school with a half-time library media specialist is not appropriate. I think clearly you need a full-time library media specialist. I think Mr. Cannell's idea is good. He used the word, if I may, appropriately, to supplement, not supplant.
Yeah, exactly.
So we would never want to use a volunteer to supplant a certified teaching position, and I know that's not what he's recommending. I think with appropriate staff, it would be great to have a volunteer to supplement and help that person. Same in your office. You can't run your office with a volunteer. It's not appropriate. So I think we're on the same page, but I think the goal should be, honestly, as a school committee, is to staff that library media area appropriately. It should be. Because it's not staffed appropriately.
But with the help of others, as you said, someone that might have an interest. But yeah, they have to still be staffed first.
Yeah.
People that would need.
You know, and to Mr. Heenan's points that he spoke about under good and welfare, we do have to focus on BEP, and full-time library media specialist is one of those things where we're deficient.
Who is the woman that's in the library after school once or twice?
Jessica Camara, she splits halftime high school and halftime middle
So
school.
she stays after?
Yeah, I mean, she does, yeah.
But that's not right now, because you said something about
It's not a flex
giving her
schedule.
maybe some flex time.
Yeah.
So that's not.
It's not a flex schedule, it's something where, you know, she does stay after and she will assist the kids, but but it's not like it's not any different than a teacher would.
Gotcha.
Right,
Yeah.
thank you,
Okay, thank you.
appreciate that.
Any other comments or feedback? Or?
No, I appreciate the amount of work that has gone into, into this so far. And
Thank you.
we'll continue, I'm sure.
Thank you.
Okay, so, the next item on the agenda is the waiver for the student accident insurance.
So last month, we came before you when we asked you to waive the policy on supplemental student accident insurance. Since then, Riasco has met with LaFave Insurance, and they have negotiated a lower fee for the interscholastic football coverage. They reduced the fee from $200 to $50 for the season. Parents that previously paid the $200 will receive a refund directly from LaFave. Mr. Lindbergh and I worked on an update, and we sent that out to the parents on October 3rd, and also that information was posted on our website. But going forward, we'd like to continue with the waiver for this year while we take the opportunity to research what other school districts are doing. Right now, it seems like there isn't much consistency between the school districts. Some are requiring the insurance, others are only requiring insurance if another plan is in place. And then there's a couple of districts that we found were paying for the insurance for all of their athletes.
This wasn't just for football, the big increase,
Well,
the 200. Was that only football?
that was just football. There were some increases for the other sports, but they weren't as drastic as in football.
We recommend that we finish the year with the waiver that you approve, which means parents need to provide documentation that they have a plan in place for their child, and then we'll take it up for next year in terms of recommendation for your policy.
And those that do not have a plan in place will be required to partake in the supplemental insurance.
Can I have a motion for discussion?
Madam Chair, I'm going to move that we accept the superintendent's recommendation regarding temporary waiver of policy regarding athletics and insurance for discussion only.
Thank you, Mr. Connell. Second?
Second.
Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Connell.
I feel material, I feel very solid with this. Seems like a good, from what I understand, seems like a good reason. I think we can continue, I think we can continue the waiver. I mean, this, the kids, if I understand that, again, I don't want to be happy because we went over it last week, but they have insurance, they're covered.
So, I can't recall, did we just approve it for the fall season, and now you want to, I can't recall, I thought
Did we
we
do it for
approved
the
it.
year, or did we?
I thought we already approved it for the year. So why,
Well, because there's a change in the money from 200 to 50 is why you want us to do 50.
I don't think you need to take a vote on it, we just want to give you the update.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so we have no, I'll withdraw my
You,
motion.
you did, Madam Chair, we said we would get back to you once we knew more. We're
okay,
getting back to you, and we do want to confirm that this will stay in place for the
the rest
remainder
of
of
the
the year.
year, okay.
Yeah, based on information, Madam Chair, I would withdraw the motion.
Second.
Second.
Thank you. All right, so for further discussion, I just, do we have a contract with Lefebvre, or can we go to use any insurance company that we want? You know, was it Lefebvre that went up in price, or was it across the board? What's the deal with this?
Well, we asked what goes out to bid for insurance for the districts in the
Yeah.
state, and we pretty much followed it. The state was the only insurance company that responded to that bid request.
And this is the same company we've been with for years and years and years. So, going forth, if a student participates in a winter sport that hasn't participated in a fall sport, before they can try out, they have to provide proof of insurance. And the same thing with spring, if they haven't participated in the fall or winter, in order to participate in spring, they will have to provide proof of insurance. And something to that effect is going out to the parents.
Yes.
And I can't remember
Yeah,
either,
it's
but
not-
what are we doing about the children that might not, or do we not have to worry about that, have insurance?
The ones that do not have insurance will have to partake in the supplemental insurance.
They take this one, they take this one. This is what they'll take, this one.
They have to have coverage.
But it'll be down to $50 instead of 200.
Yeah,
It was only the football that was just.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So the rest stayed at 750?
No, I went a little bit higher, I thought it did go up, but it wasn't anywhere as high as that.
Okay, thank you. Under new business, FY16 operating capital budget.
Madam Chair, it's just a standing item on the agenda. As it says, with the budget season fast approaching,
Yeah.
it will become more active. There'll be financial procedures that we'll be covering towards the end of the agenda, so that will come into play.
All right, Rise Mayoral Academy, Department of, what is it called now? The Board of Elementary and Secondary Education
Council.
Council.
The council.
The Council on Elementary and Secondary Education, whatever their title is.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Puerto Rican. Their vote was 5-3. I spoke, Mr. Lindbergh spoke, Mr. Connell spoke.
I did not speak.
You did not speak? I thought you did.
I could
You
be.
were there.
Yes.
You didn't, okay. Mr. Lowe spoke.
Quite a
Mrs.
few.
Nagel spoke. Trying to think who else
Mrs.
spoke.
Mr. Nagel spoke.
Mr. Yazbek,
Mr. Yazbek also
Yes,
spoke.
yes.
yeah, very articulate to the point.
And again, those are the North Smithfield people, those certainly, a lot of people in soccer
They
who
were-
spoke too,
A busload of Woonsocket educators that came,
and politicians, the school committee too.
a school committee, George Leppicher, a couple of town council members from Woonsocket, and I don't know. So the question, I guess, is, since it was approved to continue 5-3, where do we stand? What, is there any recourse that we have at this point?
Do we have? I'm sorry.
Well, I think that's why it's on the agenda tonight. I wanted to get the feeling of the school committee, if you would like to pursue and possibly have me or someone reach out to Woonsocket Town Council or the Budget Commission, the chair of both, to see if they have an interest in possibly having an informal meeting with maybe a couple people, the chair and co-chair of the school committee, and invite a town council member that's interested to see what next action we could take. I think there's somebody mentioned the potential of litigation. They're concerned about the legality of politicians that signed off on this, because the charter apparently would not have been really active if it wasn't for the mayor and the North Smithfield town administrator supporting it in writing. And so you all have some decisions to make. Also, I could find out from the Department of Ed how to request that the council on elementary and secondary education, how can you put forward a request that they reconsider their vote? So you have, do you want to become active? I left a copy of the call in front of you, Madam
I
Chair.
read some of it last night, but I don't know what the vote ended
Yeah,
up. How did it end up?
I didn't read the whole article, but just the mere fact that they're contemplating action, I think it would be wise for the committee to decide tonight if you want them to be informed, or you would consider action also. You don't know what it is. I just think rather than sit and say, oh, well, there are some serious questions here that need to be answered. You know that Mrs. Bonus spoke articulately both at the Council of Elementary and Secondary meeting, felt like years ago, last week. And you spoke again last night under Good and Welfare. And you were articulating your concern that the town council president did not take this question up. And it was a request on the part of the school committee. Mr. Yazbak spoke last night, as you did, about the concern that he had requested also, and it was never put on the town council agenda by the town council president. And that is certainly uncommon for a fellow board president or chair not to respect the request of another board. I think it's wise to pull out all the stops. I think it's wise to ask that the town council put it on a public agenda ASAP for discussion. Again, even though input's gone by, I still think you need to do it. You should look into whatever legal action and recourse there is, a reconsideration of the vote. I think we should reach out to Borough and Socket. Done.
Well, my feeling, a couple of things I have on this. First of all, I don't want to, I'll speak personally, I think you know how we feel. I think that my concern about the Ride Merrill Academy is that Smithfield should not be a part of it. And the reason is because the whole point of charter schools is to really kind of be an innovator in districts that are not high performing or that need to be an innovator in different places. I think our district is not the traditional type of district where you put a charter school. It needs a feeder charter school. Indeed, from the Vacant Edge report, from the NEAS report, and as I said, Rhode Island Monthly, Go Local Providence, we've been consistently listed. Sometimes it's 12, sometimes it's 14. You know, we fool around with numbers, and you don't want to fall in love with these projections. But consistently, we've had the same thing. I mean, this Rhode Island Monthly put us at the biggest bang for the buck, which meant we were doing a lot with a little. And what my position to have in West Smithfield, including in the Ride Merrill Academy as a semi-district, is simply because, as was articulated by the way, well, at the meeting, you mentioned this very well at the Department of Ed tonight. Our concern is we're high performing. It's going to basically potentially cut down on some of our money we have in district, and all our reports have indicated we're doing well with the money we have. Indeed, we're doing more with less than in comparison to a lot of our districts. So I think we should do something. Again, I don't want to get into like who supports it, who doesn't. I mean, people are free to support it if they want. People are free to oppose it if they want. I feel that, again, as a school committee member, looking at the funding and what this I think would do to the district, especially when it's a new school starting up, we should look at some type of action. I think a reconsideration is a good idea. The only question I have really is if we're reconsidering, are we going to be in a situation where we're running out of appeal time? I mean, I don't know exactly I believe the council now acts like the board used to act. So I don't think there's an appeal from the board, from the council to the board. What used to be the board's final decision, now the council makes the final decision. So any type of appeal might be to a superior court action, which it used to be. And I don't know that for 100%, but I believe that's the situation. So I guess I'm concerned about, we have that time, I think we have to, time is running if we're going to take any kind of action.
I agree. That's a good point. If we are gonna take any action now, we have to take it straight now. Going back to this current town council with it, there's a month left, and I mean, certainly, we can't hurt to ask, but it's gonna be put on their agenda or not, and even if it is, we could be looking at, 3 new members at least on the town council.
Agreed. I would like to see the committee articulate the actions that you would be willing to commit to, and even if it means, directing me, and maybe with the help of Mr. Cannell, reaching out to Woonsocket, involving our attorney. I think I would like to see your thoughts become articulated so we can be, I think you hit the nail on the head. We need to get going.
Does Woonsocket have a superintendent yet?
Yes.
They do?
Oh, no, I thought they did. Maybe they don't.
I wasn't sure.
Interim?
David,
No, I don't think they,
McGee.
I think Mr. McGee's the acting.
He's acting.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think something immediately to the
Something, all right, so
Budget Commission chair.
I agree.
Yeah,
I
you go
think
ahead, go.
You need to reach out to Woonsocket, to whoever, whether it's the acting superintendent, or, I don't even know who's in charge over there, I'm sorry.
Let's talk about, you want a letter to go to the superintendent, their town council chair, and their budget committee
And school committee,
chair, and school committee chair.
correct, because right now, the
Yeah.
impression I got the other night at RIDE was that Lisa Baldelli Hunt felt like she was in charge of the school district.
You would like to
That's the
go to
impression she
Barbara
gave.
also.
She gave the audience that she did all these initiatives, and she was running the show in the school department. Okay, so it needs to not go to her.
Okay, so,
And to Frank Milano.
yeah, I wrote Barberville. I'll do
Okay.
Barberville also.
And Mr. Connell is right, and Tracy Nangle spoke to this, and we're doing everything right here. We were commended high school. Our scores are fine. We are higher, and we're gonna get to the SATs and everything else in a few minutes, but our scores are higher than the state. So we're not doing anything wrong. So why do we need to spend our money and send our money out when we're doing better than a lot of other districts with less money?
And it's independent, that's an independent, that's just something we're saying, and again, I'm gonna take a look at Providence.
Right.
Rhode Island Monthly Magazine, I forget, it was just a few months ago, and the Bacon and Edge and the News Report.
And why?
I just have two thoughts on that though, too. Again, for my own sense, I want to reiterate, I'm speaking, I think, for North Smithfield, what Laurelville and Woonsocket want to do is that's up to them, that's up to them. If they're all going to do an action that we have mutual interest in, we can join in with them. But
Right.
again, our reasons for not being in it or being part of it is different than what Woonsocket and Borough was. My specific reason is we are a high-performing district. And secondly, from just a legal standpoint, we may need some kind of opinion on this. Can we, because it has a fiscal impact, and I don't want to find ourselves going down a path, can we do anything as a school committee? In other words, can we bring something, can we do the action, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, so let me see if I can clarify this, because I'm perfectly willing to craft a letter to work with with Mrs. Bonus that can go to the people we talked about, requesting that we need as soon as possible consider action, legal and otherwise, regarding the Council of Elementary and whatever approving. But Mr. Cannell, you mentioned to a certain degree you're more concerned with North Smithfield. So am I writing to Woonsocket? Am I not writing to Woonsocket? I'm a little confused. Do you want to find out? Do you want to work collaboratively?
I think I'm not sure we decide what we want to do. I mean, my feeling is, I think it's fine. My feeling is it's fine that we reach out to Woonsocket. But I just think it's important to note that, our interests our reasons may be different for what we're trying to do, than what Woonsocket and Borough do. And
I
indeed, Borough may
agree,
be.
we won't know until we sit with them.
Right,
I agree.
Borough maybe, not many people from Borough who were no, if I recall from that meeting, there were people from Borough who were there, who may have been teachers, but not teachers in the Borough system. I don't believe anyone spoke officially on behalf of Borough, like none of their elected officials were there. I apologize if I'm wrong, but I don't believe anyone.
The Borough officials took a very firm stance of non-participation, town council and school committee. I will still write to them.
Yeah, oh yeah, I think.
Because I'm sure they're not pleased that it got approved. So we put that off, so I will follow through on your directive on that. Secondly, Mr. Cannell mentioned legal action. Mr. Yazbek stated at the Department of Ed, Council for Exceptional, I'm sorry, elementary and secondary.
It's a council.
His personal belief that he believes that the town administrator's commitment violated the charter, that the town administrator's commitment to this charter school, in essence, was a contract that would then bind the school department of the town towards funds coming from the budget to support it. So that was his opinion. Should we involve legal counsel as quickly as possible to investigate that, whether there is merit for any type of legal action, and where that legal action would take place? Would it take place in Superior Court? Would it take place against the town? Just because everything's timely, so do you want that to get underway? Do you want legal counsel?
I have a question.
Okay.
The person that sponsored the Rice Mayoral Academy, people that did, or Lisa Baldelli Hunt and Paulette Hamilton.
Yeah.
If Paulette Hamilton is not in office
That's what I was wondering.
as of December 1st, does her sponsorship end?
So I don't know that. I think the broader question is, this is something that if you want, I certainly couldn't do this, but I'm sure it's not a new issue for our legal counsel.
But if her sponsorship ends, and then I don't think we have anybody to sue, to go after, because it was her that sponsored it, and if she's no longer a town administrator, then
So the broader question may be, is this whole process legal where you basically, by the way, you are funding a private school?
yeah,
Basically, this is a private school.
right.
They have no
I
accountability.
can catch up, no, but in fairness, and again, I
Yeah,
don't want to be talking, it's a
I'm
charter
gonna-
school. Go on, man, okay, I don't.
Sure, this is, in my way of reading it, this is clearly a private school that's being supported by public funds under the guise they call the charter school. But there's very little accountability. They have a board of directors that two politicians and some other people. It's my opinion, and it may not coincide with Mr. Cannell's, this is a private school. This is a private school. So, if you read all the documentation on it, it's unbelievable how this got approved. But the question is, do you want to involve legal counsel?
I don't have a problem with that.
I don't do that.
Okay.
I think we have to, because I just want to say, I think there's I want to focus, though, my focus here is, not playing, who approves what. Again, my feeling, people can support it, people cannot support it. One of the issues I have is, can we, as a school committee, ask for reconsideration? Or if we want, with Barbara, we have standing to ask for reconsideration of the council vote? And if not, do we have standing to appeal? I just want to make sure that we don't do an appeal and find out that, technically this is going to be brought in the name of the council has to pass a resolution to do the appeal because there's financing involved.
So the third thing I will do is tomorrow I will contact, Angela, the council
Teixeira.
secretary,
Teixeira.
Teixeira, and I will ask either that or I'll go through our attorney and ask specifically what action is permissible to request the council reconsider their vote. I'll either do that through Ben or I'll do it myself. And whatever it is, we will immediately act on it. I will inform the school committee if there is a bylaw that allows it, and we will then talk about how to move forward. How's that?
How did Woonsocket vote? What did they vote last night on the town council meeting?
I honestly didn't
I
read the whole
don't
article.
think the council voted.
It was on the, I
Here's
watched it last
The,
night, but I can't know which players were.
There was no support from
the,
any board over there.
correct, the school committee had a resolution opposing Woonsocket as a sending district. They sent a resolution to the town council, as did we. Woonsocket City Council supported the resolution to oppose Woonsocket as a sending district.
Okay.
On our side of the case, we created a resolution in June opposing our, students as, as opposing West Smithfield as a sending district. We asked our town council president to put it on the agenda. He didn't. He then asked Mrs. McGann for another copy of that resolution mid-July because he said he was away on vacation and he lost it. She sent him another copy immediately. Again, it didn't get placed on their agenda at the end of July. Mr. Yazdak asked that it be put on the agenda. At that point, Mr. Flaherty told him that he wouldn't put it on the agenda because it wasn't sponsored. So I don't understand the disrespect I feel right now from the town council president for our position as elected people who asked to be put on the town council agenda and were ignored twice.
You can ask again.
I
Maybe
can
they'll
ask
put it on
again.
Before they,
I would like to ask again.
Okay.
Let's ask again and see where it goes this time.
all right,
See where it goes this time.
all right.
And could you please, maybe put something out through your, school reach or whatever you call it, that if you see that it's put on the agenda, and maybe you can ask parents to attend that meeting, maybe they can speak one way or the other. It's everybody's opinion. There are some people in this town that may be in favor of it. I'm sure there are. And there are going to be people that aren't.
Will do.
Thank you.
I'm still curious
I would
what
love
will
to
happen
be more
if Colette is not.
I would just say something about, again, I just want to emphasize one thing. I'm going to say it, I've said it 3 times, I don't want you to repeat it. But again, my concern is, in terms of the time, some things are time. We had this decision from the department, from the council last Monday. So I don't know what the appeal time is.
Can't go any faster than we are tonight.
No, we can't. I just want to make sure, I know there's some issues out there with, do we have standing to do it? Do we need the town council to do it? I think we can do it. I think the school committee has authority to act in this regard. But I just like,
We can't go any faster than we are tonight, and asking the town council to once again hear it is as fast as we can get this process
Yeah.
going. Could be met in.
I have 4 actions to act on, and a 5th will be, I'll work with Mrs. Bonus to develop something that will also inform our community period.
Thank you.
Something that will come out from us about what's transpired, okay?
Yeah.
All right. It's clear that you are all frustrated, and you should be. I don't know, you don't need to vote, I think.
I don't think so.
You're good?
Yeah.
No, you're going to, I assume you'll get, Steve, you're going to, superintendent, you're going to get those actions and
Let us know how.
let us know what's going on.
I will.
Because we're not committing anything yet, we're going to see what
I would-
the lay of the land is.
Yep.
Okay. Meet to the left. Sure, we'll talk tomorrow about what you're going to send us to Larry. Contract for Brennan, Trio, Cashel, Scunjo, and McAllister.
Recommend the committee vote to approve the 2-year contract extension through December 31st, 2017. And also vote to authorize the vice chair to sign the agreement. It's a simple statement at the end. Legal counsel has served the district well over the past several years. I think that's an understatement. So,
Yes, I need a motion to, I need 2 motions. Do I need 2 motions? No.
Oh,
I need 2 motions. One to approve the 2-year contract and another one to authorize me to sign it.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion that we accept the superintendent's recommendation to renew the contract of Brennan, Cujo, Cashel, as presented. I do have one comment to make.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kyle. Second. Mrs. Nardoli. Mr. Connell?
We're just all on talk committee for a minute. I am very impressed with Judy Sconjo, and really all the attorneys we deal from their office. So a number of attorneys come in, we all deal with them. The only thing that we want to come over is, we're committing to November 1, 2017. That would be, are we just binding our, are we binding our council, or can we be too far in advance or something? I personally I'm very satisfied with the service. I think they give us great service, I really do, across the board. So I'm saying this is going to extend to the next, this will go not only to the next, this will not only commit to the next composition of the committee, however it is, but even that, after that, right?
Mr. Cannell, I'm sorry, Madam Chair.
No,
I'm
I
sorry.
was just clarifying for him, it's going to,
It goes to one more
we're
year.
getting a little bit of a new school committee, this year in 2014, and then in 2016, perhaps again, you never know.
Right, we don't know what it looks like. We don't know what it looks like yet.
Right.
I liken it to, whether it's administrative contracts, teacher contracts, you need to deal with them at the time of the request, and, it's no different than if you were to negotiate a teacher contract, and then, new members come in, after a year. So, I just want to, thank you, Mr. Cannell, for making such positive comments about the service. It's excellent. Their rates are being held to the same rates 3 years ago, and they also added a flat fee billing arrangement on their last page, which basically says that when they're working on multiple school district issues that are similar, we end up getting a much substantially reduced rate. In some cases, I know that they don't even charge us at all if they've already done something for another district. So, anyways, I'll be quiet.
No, I'm comfortable voting on this tonight, actually. I'm just saying, at some point, just in terms of expanding, we probably have to revisit the issue of putting it out to bid at some point, just to get rid of it at some point.
Well, their request for proposals, just to clarify, they're not bids, but they're proposals.
Right.
Yeah. If you are unhappy with the contract at any point in time, I'm sure you could terminate, but I think it's wise to make sure you know who your firm's going to be for the
I think
next.
that since the superintendent is the person who deals most directly with the attorney, most directly, I'm going to base my vote on the superintendent's recommendation to renew the contract, and, in the future, when there's a different superintendent someday, maybe that superintendent will consider, putting it out to bid. We did have a different attorney prior to Mr. Lindbergh being superintendent, and then when he came on board as superintendent, he, said it can be out to the proposal, and we did, and this is where we're at, and this is how we got there. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the 2-year contract?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Second motion to sign.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that authorizing this vice chair to sign the agreement with Brendan Cooper, Kathleen Spencer, and Carol.
Thank you. Second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
It's going to be signed. Very good.
And Madam Chair, I just want to reiterate again, my issue is more just, I was just talking about just for going forward on procedures. I think the entire firm, all the attorneys I've dealt with from there, do a great job for us, and I'm happy to have them continue. I'm happy to have them continue with us.
Agreed.
I think that means a lot, by the way, that you feel all that way, and I'm going to make sure that they know about that. So appreciate the comments.
Signed, Mrs. McKeon. Thank you. Put it right here. All right. Page 56 of our agenda,
7:44.
bus monitors and luncheon aids.
Pretty straightforward. I'll turn it over to Lisa.
Ms. Mayo, our transportation director, and I, and with the help of a DACO representative, have been monitoring the bus monitor rates and their routes and their times since the beginning of the year. And we'd like to recommend that we move to pay them $14.50 a run. Right now, we pay them an hourly rate like $9.08, and over the past few years, we've had a lot of issues with that, over, who's picking up the bus rear, and what time are they starting, and what are they putting on their time sheets. I think this will avoid all of that. Several years ago, we did pay by the run, and it was pretty successful. And right now, Smithfield is paying their bus monitors through DATCO $14.50 a run also.
I think it makes sense.
A run being the trip that they take from start to finish?
Yeah.
It's
Doesn't that make
about
sense?
1.5 hours to 1.6 hours, what we
Pretty
calculated.
much all of them.
And we actually did a trial with the runs earlier in the year, but it turns out that the length of the runs were running longer than we had initially anticipated, and the hourly rate actually came in under the minimum wage, so we had to up a little bit.
So do we get, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Motion, oh, I was going to motion.
We do probably should have a
Sure,
motion
motion.
before the discussion, so.
Okay.
I thought you were-
Madam Chairman, to make a motion that we approve the superintendent's recommendation that we pay bus monitor wages at the rate of $14.50 per run as opposed to the current hourly rate over the 2 years.
Thank you, Mr. Kano. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Nardoli. I just have a question. How do the bus monitors feel about this?
They're pretty pleased about it.
Okay,
We've
so,
gotten some positive feedback. We had a meeting with them and spoke to them about it. And they were pretty happy.
okay, so just supposing a run is longer in the winter because of weather.
We're continuing to monitor it, and if we have one run that is longer, we look at the runs for the week, because we may have another run that's running under. So if there's one that is excessive, and they're all, pretty level, then we would pay them a little bit extra for 15 minutes or whatever. It turns out to be.
How could you do that if you're paying them $14.50 per run without coming back to the school committee and saying, it's not working?
Well, the $14.50 per run is based on average on a 1.5 hour run. So we would use the rate that was calculated based on, the hour.
I was just curious if someone's run is an hour and 5 minutes and someone's run is an hour and 35. Is it like that way, or are they all pretty much in the same?
They're all pretty
10-minute
much,
block?
there's actually, 2 runs a day. And we did have one run that was looking that it was a little longer than some of the other runs. And we spoke to that monitor. We actually offered her to trade off either the morning or the afternoon run with the person that had the shortest time. And she opted not to do that because she wanted to stay with those kids. She had been on that run for several years. They also tweaked the run to try to shorten it a little bit. So right now, they'll probably be getting paid, if you computed that in an hourly rate, it would be between like $9.06 and $9.67 an hour.
It just seems to me we're talking about relatively small amount. Ms. Mott, I think this is a good move for the district.
I do.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Lunch and recess, please.
Madam Chair, based upon the material in our packet, I move we accept the proposed superintendent's recommendation that would increase the hourly rate for the 2014-2015 school year for our luncheon and recess aides, that their pay be increased to $9.10 an hour.
Second. Second, Mrs. Nardoli. Discussion?
The only part you left out in both is that they're both retroactive to the beginning of the school year. So that was in our recommendation. Were you assuming that that was part of it, or? Because it needs to be. So we're okay with that?
Yep, 5 minutes.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair, I'll amend my motion to make that, actually, I'm improving it's the same motion, that's retroactive.
For both.
It's part of the motion. I guess we should probably put that in the record. That's retroactive to the start of this current school year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can we vote?
Yep.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Thank
Aye.
you.
Thank you. Motion carries. Technology Capital Fund Plan Recommendation.
Madam Chair, it's just for your information, but I just wanted to bring you up to date. Mr. Stanley, along with Mr. Butash, they put together a phenomenal package that went to the town administrator. We requested that it be on the agenda, and ran into a little bit of an issue over there, and then Mr. Butash, in an email, reminded the town administrator and finance director of the vote of the planning board and the approval of the town council capital budget. So we are looking forward to moving this forward. I will request the town administrator once again put it on the next available town council agenda. This cannot wait. We've crossed every T and dotted every I, and when it is on the town council agenda, I really would like to have some school committee people in attendance with myself and Adam and Claire. So it's just for your information, but I have to say that Adam did a heck of a job. He worked through this with Claire and the administrative team. So a great plan. Okay?
Yep, very good, thank you.
Thank you.
High school student handbook.
Recommend approval as submitted. Mr. Mezzanotte is present if you have any questions.
Accept it as submitted.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we accept the high school student handbook as submitted.
Thank you, Mr. Knapp. Second, Mrs. Nardo. Any discussion? Thank you,
It's fine. I mean,
Mr. Mezzanotte
Thank you.
and company for,
Yeah.
Mrs. McGann.
Mrs. McGann, for putting this together for us. Did you have a handbook committee that worked on it?
Yes, actually, it's still ongoing.
Okay.
Their impact will be on the one for next year.
Okay, thank you.
Do we need to say anything about this being retroactive or the board is through, or do we need to worry about this being retroactive? Because it's
No, no. No problem.
Very good, thank you. Is it online?
Yes.
Okay, good. We don't have to waste paper.
No.
Do we need to vote? We need to
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. SAT achievement?
I'll just ask Mr. Mezzanotte to come to the podium in case and make a brief comment. You have the SAT achievement, the backup is attached, it's self-explanatory. I don't know if you have any questions, but would like Mr. Mezzanotte to make a brief comment about it.
No, I don't have any questions on the SAT. Did you want to come to the podium and talk about the SAT
Yes.
achievement? Thank you. The only comment I have is that
Yep.
the SAT is going to be changing as of 2016. Just saying. Go ahead.
Sorry. I just wanted to announce the results of the SATs this year are very positive for the high school, as you can see from the chart. And, we're really excited about the work that gets put in. It's obviously a reflection of them, their hard work, the teachers, and, all the instruction they've gotten at every level at North Smithfield. So just very proud of the results. Hopefully we can keep it going. I mean, obviously it means a great deal to our kids, and it means a great deal, obviously, to our community in terms of attracting families to town and things like that. So we're happy to see it's going in the right direction.
And this will be the basis of your report from here on out. You used to get a thick book with a lot of other stuff in it, and we decided to streamline it, so. Okay?
Mr. Connell has a question.
Yeah, Mr. Mezzanotte, I was just wondering, Principal Mezzanotte, I'm sorry. With regard to this, what would you guys, or do you have, can you attribute why we had we were going down, it was kind of a steady decline there for a few years, and then we jumped up in 2014, 2013, 2014 years. Can we figure out, are we looking at, what the cause of that might be, or any ideas?
Yeah, I can speculate. I can speculate, but I can't necessarily offer any firm reason why. I know that.
I don't put you on the spot, you don't want to.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I know that, the SATs have been, not to say they were an afterthought, 'cause that's the wrong word to use, but frankly, with the kneecap being what it's been, in terms of graduation, and everything, that's been the primary focus of really a thrust of our effort. So I don't know if that, if the SATs kind of got lost in the shuffle a little bit, perhaps. I don't know, could we just, like, 1 year of data isn't the whole story. I'm just encouraged by it being good, but obviously it could, hopefully it won't, but it could go back down next year, and then we kind of know it's maybe a blip. But we want to look at, we've started the process of reversing the trend, we want to continue it.
I just want to say that, I'm glad to see, not that the other schools are bad, there's still people who say average, but it's good to see it go up. And really, I'm interested you said that because I'll just, 30 seconds, my soapbox, I come up again. I'm always leery of the use of this, I've always been leery of the use of the kneecap test and the graduation rates. Again, you're doing what we're being told, we're all being told it's top down. But I feel there's been too much emphasis on those, and I know from working at some of the local colleges, they care about the SATs, they don't care about kneecap scores. And I just feel that, again, this is my soapbox, it's been top-down driven. People have realized it now, though, that it might take away from things like the SAT. And again, colleges don't care about the kneecap, and they're not going to care about, rephrase that. We'll see what happens with POC, but I think they're still going to care about the SATs more than the POC test.
Yeah, just to close up, we're offering an online prep class for seniors, and then for our juniors also later in the year for SATs through our virtual learning vendor at Genuity. So we're going to be getting the word out on that really in earnest, starting immediately. So hopefully, again, we'll see the trends continue.
I would hope that your seniors either took it in October or are taking it in November.
Yeah, exactly.
At this point, December maybe.
Yeah.
Can I get next month AP score results? Can we get that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Because I saw it on you have it on your school profile, but there are some classes not listed, like AP Physics.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how many years that's been being taught now,
Mm-hmm.
but that's not on your profile.
Okay. It's not?
No, no. It's like, I forget, I saw the profile today,
Okay.
and I forget, so AP Physics, do you have AP Chemistry also?
We don't have chem.
I know AP Physics
I'm
was on.
surprised at physics. I'll have to talk to Mr. Pepin about that, because
Yes,
that must have
He
slipped.
sent me profile today, so that's how, and he did say there was some AP classes missing.
Okay.
So I just want to, I was wondering if he could get me the data, AP scores for Smithfield compared with the state.
Certainly.
Thank you.
I just want to come one last thing with the school. This is I think this is another situation or opportunity where there might be volunteer opportunities. Again, there are people in the community, people who may be retired, or people who, for a variety of reasons, just are willing to come in, maybe tutor the kids or do some extra work with the kids in this area. People who are engineers, retired or not, mathematicians. Yeah, there may be people, and I don't know how we coordinate that. I'm just mentioning it out here. We can work, I know we're trying to do things tonight, like we're trying to coordinate that. Again, I think there's another opportunity where we have a lot of talent in town. And of course, do background checks, do all that, we would do that we can bring in, there's a lot of talent in town we can bring in to help us, and take advantage of that volunteerism. I know that's in the community, so.
Sure. Okay, thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Antonelli.
Thank you.
Okay. Advisor stipends, DECA.
Yep, Madam Chair, it's straightforward. I recommend the committee vote to transfer the stipend of $400 from mock trial advisor to DECA advisor. Copy of the job description was attached for informational purposes only.
Thank you, Mr. Lindberg. Is there a motion?
I move that we accept that recommendation to transfer the money, the $400 to DECA advisor.
Thank you. Second. Any questions? Is the DECA advisor not getting stipend at this point? And is this?
That's correct. She has never gotten one.
Okay. And there is no mock trial, or no interest at this,
Correct.
at this point? Very good. Okay. Any other further questions? Hearing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye. Good. Motion carries. Secretarial issues at the high school.
Madam Chair, School Committee, you have the excellent backup provided by Mr. Mezzanotte and Mr. Pepin, well articulated and detailed. Mrs. Marcotte and I are recommending approval of an additional .5 office clerk only at this time. In the months ahead, Mrs. Marcotte may have a different forecast that would allow us to return to you with a different recommendation.
Thank you, Mr. Lindberg. I have a motion.
I'll make a motion that we accept that. I do have a comment, question.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kiles. Made the motion, second, Mrs. Nardoli, and questions?
Yeah, I mean, we just, budget perspective, I mean, I know we talked about this before, this was something I think we had talked about and held off on. I mean, what is this, maybe it's more direct to Ms. Markout, what does this do to our budget right now? I mean, not so.
Well, it'll probably be less than $10,000, more like around 7,500 for the remainder of the year. And we've had several leaves already go unpaid. We've had positions that we hadn't filled in the beginning of the year, positions we filled at the lowest step. So I think at this point in time, we probably more than likely can afford this.
Okay, I know it's not, I know it's a non-benefited position, right?
It's not that bad.
Would this person be an employee of the school department, or would it be somebody we'd get through like accountants or one of those?
Well, we have to post it.
And we wouldn't go through content, you pay a lot more. This would be a posted position, part-time. This was one of the positions that you were in between a rock and a hard place last
Right, I remember
spring.
this, yeah.
It was cutting here or having all sports and, it's water over the dam, but it's not working, so we'd appreciate at least trying to stick our finger in the leaky dike a little bit, so.
We really identified the need for a full-time position, but at this point in time, we're not really
We wanna wait.
comfortable with that.
Better, half-time is better than nothing right now, so you're gonna have to live with it.
Well, we appreciate, if that's the vote of the committee, we appreciate something is half a loaf is better than none at this point.
Any further discussion? No. Hearing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Disc golf, as I recall, this was Billy Hargreaves that initially did his Eagle project, to put this in. Am I correct?
I believe you're correct, and since the building in the middle school, it's
Do you
been,
remember Billy?
I'm sorry.
Yes,
Sorry.
Aaron does. Yeah. So this seems like a pretty simple
It is.
request. Any, kind of motion?
I move we accept the recommendation that we install disc golf course at the high school.
Thank you, Mr. Connell, second.
Second.
I'm sorry, build and replace,
Replace, I guess, or rebuild, or whatever they want to do. Thank you, Mrs. Maravoni. Any discussion?
Yeah.
Just curious, how often does it really get used?
What's that
Yes.
oxygen?
It's used
Oh,
all
it's
the time.
in the classroom, okay,
Pretty popular.
all right.
Yeah.
I wasn't even, actually, when it was first out, I remember my kids went up there all the time at night. So my thought was more that it was something, an outside activity, not even thinking about it as part of the gym, yeah, that makes
Mm.
sense. Okay, that's all good.
I just had a question. I was looking at the one for number 8, and it looks like white fall. If that's not going to interfere with any of the baseball games or anything like that, I mean.
Well, they're not doing it at the same time.
No, but I'm talking about, somebody hit, we're gonna get, is that in the field of fire, you hit a lot, that's all I'm wondering. I mean, it's not, people aren't gonna hit, I don't think they're gonna hit number 6, number 3. 8 could get whacked a few times, and then we're replacing it.
Oh, I see what you're saying, the actual net.
Yes, it's a metal structure, it's
Yeah,
all metal, right? with the-
It's
I
metal.
know, I
Net.
and they're, I mean, it's not, I'm sure, I just want, somebody looked at it and they figured it's okay there, it just seems awfully close to the ball field, number 8 to me.
Well, I guess we'll see. All right, all those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. The overnight field trip, chorus and band,
Recommend the committee approve the overnight field trip request to Boston to participate in the Boston Spring 15 High School Music Festival beginning on March 27th to March 28th, 2015.
Nice, so moved.
so with Mrs. Nardoli, second.
Before I second, I have a question. I think I asked you, this is just approving it, we're not.
It's to go on the trip, that's it.
It's all,
You're
okay,
not funding it.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Any discussion?
No.
Hearing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Overnight field trip, Special Olympics.
Yes, recommend that the committee approve the overnight field trip request for Special Olympics to participate in the National Youth Activation Committee in Washington, D.C., beginning on November 13th through the 16th, 2014.
So moved. So moved, Mrs. Nardoli, second. Mr.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion?
It's a good program.
Great opportunity. We approved every year, I love it.
I think we should.
Yes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
I just feel it's kind of, I know some schools are cutting back on these type of things, and they don't see the
So
value.
there's only 2 kids going and a teacher.
Yeah, and sometimes schools don't do that, they say, well, it's not benefiting that many, but I think it's, for any, have 2 more kids go. I'm really proud of this approach.
Thank you. Johnson Controls contract.
Yes, information only, and per Mr. Kopaz's recommendation, the town has been made aware, we are canceling the agreement with JHCI Performance Contract Guarantee. For budgetary purposes, we really can no longer afford to pay that annual fee, in which in turn, they complete their report for contract, meaning contract assurances. We have no qualms with this at all. The agreement and the performance of the efficiency, energy, facility improvements have already shown to be continuing to pay dividends, so.
Thank you. Any discussion, or we don't need a vote? Is there any
No.
discussion?
Is there any benefit to us by doing this, or is this just something we have to do?
I'm sorry, Mr.
Is there any benefit to us by, I haven't known yet, is there a benefit to us by doing this?
The benefit is that we're not paying, what is it, $10,000 annually for the report. And we have 2 years' worth, and they're well detailed, they're excellent, but we already know what we're getting as a result of the improvement measures, so.
It doesn't affect our obligation to continue what they're doing for us under the contract.
It affects the obligation from the standpoint that we can't turn around and say, the measures aren't working and you owe us money. So yes, it does.
Yeah.
Yep. It's real simple. They do the evaluation for $10,000. It has to meet the standards of the projected savings. If it didn't, they write us a check.
But we have 3 years of data to show that
Yes,
they have met their
Yeah.
projected savings.
yes. And honestly, yes, I'll just stop there.
Second reading, revised policies, high school graduation requirements, and honor rolls, and other academic awards.
I recommend the committee vote to approve the second reading of the revised policies as submitted for adoption as school committee policy.
So moved. Mrs. Nardoli, second.
Second.
Second, Mr. Cornell. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, so I think we have to take do we have to take these first readings separately, Ms. Lindberg, all 3? Or can I do it in one lump?
They're all first readings. I would defer to Mrs. McGann. I think we can take them all at once, if you'd like.
We can do the honor roll in a second.
You're on number 17, correct?
The second, for number 16, the second reading, I lumped them in together, because that was the second reading. For the first readings, though, I don't know if I should take them separately.
If there's comment, you have to take comment on all 3.
Okay, why don't we just take them separately then?
Okay.
The audit one seems, is short, so, and pretty straightforward, okay?
Mhm.
And I need a motion.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we accept the proposed 2B3 audits for the policy.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Pyle. Second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, aye. Next policy is grading. I need a motion.
Move we accept the policy 4D5 as the grading.
Okay, so in second discussion,
If we're going to be not doing any hard copies, and what about parents who don't have access to a computer, and guardians who don't have access to a computer? Am I reading that wrong?
that's correct. Hard copies of interim progress reports are no longer issued at each quarter.
Those are the interim, they're not the
Not
report.
report cards, they're just the interim progress reports.
Is there a way a parent can request a hard copy if they don't have, I mean, some parents and guardians, or, don't have access to a computer or not, may not be, just.
We would be happy to do that, we can print them at any time.
So they would just call you up and say,
Any data we take, we get one, yeah.
And usually, just from a guidance counselor's perspective, if a student is in danger of failing for the time, whatever, I tend to make a phone call and say, did you see your child's interim report? Would you like to come in for a meeting? Or sometimes the teachers themselves call the parent and say, your child is failing, I would like you to come in for a meeting. So there's, a lot of different modes of communicating that the child is not passing at present.
No, I fully understand that. And, I know some people are going to say I'm wasting time because everybody's got access to a computer. But sometimes it's the kids who are failing or struggling the most who come from homes where there isn't computer access. I mean, it's not a lot, but there's
We
some.
reach out to all the kids that are failing, and their parents come in, and usually we'll get them on the parent portal while they're there, and we'll check to make sure they have access.
Thank you. Any other discussion on the policy 4D5 rating? All those in favor signify by saying aye on that first reading.
Aye.
Thank you. And attendance, truancy, and homeschooling policy, VA6.
I move that we accept the policy 5A6 regarding attendance, truancy, and homeschooling.
Thank you, Mr. Kyle. Thank you, Mrs. Nardoni. Any discussion on this policy?
No, I was just happy. I found it interesting. I was looking over the homeschooling, which I thought was interesting because sometimes I felt I'm approving, and I don't know what I shouldn't say I don't know what I'm approving, but it's good to see I know what I'm approving, but I like to see the policy here as it's written.
Any further discussion? Thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. This last bunch of policies is at the recommendation of Bacon and Mr. Edge and Mr. Sweeney, correct?
Yes, Madam Chair. This is Mark Hunt, and I really think we did some really solid work on this. We obviously pulled apart the Bacon Edge report and even went beyond in some cases. And we're very pleased with what we have recommended in front of you, although in many cases we have followed these in writing administratively, they haven't been written as procedures, so now they are. If you take them as a group, that's fine. However, I do ask of you, and I know the hour's late, but there is one that is most important that we at least call your attention to, and because it affects our beginning of budget development. And that would be D. So I'll be quiet if you want to, again, these are for informational purposes, but clearly if you read any that you felt like were deficient, I hope you didn't, you would call it to our attention. But again, we followed the Bacon Edge report, and in some cases we introduced some that they didn't know. And we're very pleased with those.
I don't have any problem taking these as a whole. Is there any opposition to my taking these as one?
No, I don't think it was necessary.
Yeah, I apologize. Mrs. McGann just reminded me, there's no approval, but we would welcome your feedback.
Very good. Did Attorney Long help develop these?
Nope, we did these on our own. I actually felt like we didn't need Attorney Long. We had enough guidance from the BE report and from our own, I guess, good judgment, common sense. So.
Very good, thank you. Any other questions or comments regarding?
I don't.
Madam Chair?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, my
Go right
apologies.
ahead.
Could we look at the procedures called budget development guidance policy 2B1? Because this is critical, and I guess in hindsight, maybe, I'll just stop there. That really is critical. This is the guiding document by which we administratively will be going forward to develop your FY16, our FY16 budget proposal. I ask you to look at page 2, and I would like to call your attention to number 4, fiscal guidelines. In essence, what we're doing is something that Mr. Heeman spoke about earlier tonight. We will be coming forward to you with a first draft budget that is based upon the allowable local appropriation percentage and a state aid estimate provided by the business manager. We will make every effort to, in the budget proposal, to meet identified known obligations. If contract obligations are not known at the time of budget development, you will have a recommended combined placeholder in the estimated budget. Obviously, administrators will base their respective budgets on a zero-based premise. Administrators will review their current year transfers, etc. Additional guidance directly related right from the report of B&E is below. I'm going to sum this up basically in this way. As Mr. Heenan said, you will receive a budget draft that meets those financial guidelines. You will also most likely receive, as recommended by Bacon and Edge, an additional supplemental budget request of the areas that may not have been able to be included in the original budget draft. Some of those may be listed as absolutely required, but they were not able to be fit into the budget financial restraints. You will receive that supplemental budget recommendation. It will be prioritized and it will identify the corresponding either BEP or strategic plan or NEASC identified area of concern. So just to be clear, we will come forward with that defined budget. And you will then have an option of a supplemental budget. Bacon and Edge made it very clear that they believe you need to look at this because we are underfunded and you will reach a point where you may be looking at a supplemental budget request. That's the premise. I won't go any further. That's what I wanted you to look at to make sure you were comfortable with.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for putting work into these. I know it must have taken you guys
Thank you.
quite a long time. Any other discussion? Donation, acceptance of donations, Mr. Lindberg?
I recommend the committee vote to accept the following donations in accordance with Rhode Island General Law 1689-4, grants, gifts, donations, acceptance and expenditure. 60 travel mugs to NSCS staff from Mark Duran, American flag to NSCS from Michael Moore, 60 travel mugs to Hallowell staff from Mark Duran.
Chair, I make a recommendation we collectively accept the 3 donations that were listed as submitted by the chair, and then we send a thank you letter to the people making the donation.
Thank you, Mr. Klein. Second. Second. Thank you, Mrs. Giannadelli. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Again, a letter of thank you to all the parties involved. Motion to adjourn.
Take a motion to adjourn, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Second. 8:71.
Thank you, members of the school committee, very much for your perseverance